politics. There's a very good reason why we choose this title. First of all, it's an alliteration, and alliterations are always good. It's also known among people who know as the 3P politics. And one of the reasons why the big Chinese leader Mao Zedong is chosen as one of the examples is because he was actually the first one to speak about peer-to-peer politics back in the days. Unfortunately, it was in Chinese, so we were not able to quote it.
And by preparing this, we looked on Google, but you know that there is a lot of information that is withheld from China, so it's a very complicated element. And the second thing that you see here is, and you've seen it in one of the previous presentations, is that it's also about reputation management. You see that he has a lot of reputation surrounding him, and that's also something that we will slightly handle, but it's in one of the coming slides.
Speaking of reputation, I have realized that I carefully try to hide from the people that really care about me and that I really care about, mainly my online friends. Unfortunately, there are leaks. And since I've become so immensely famous thanks to my blog, Willaerts.be, there is a generation of paparazzi who go very far into trying to take pictures of me in very embarrassing poses. I am glad that this was just at my dentist and not at my gynecologist, because the person who made this picture and who will bleed for a very long time for this was also present during other doctors' visits. My in real life name is indeed Claudine. As you can see, I have no clue what it has to do with peer-to-peer politics, but it's a clear sign of the progression of dyslexia among what we think is the intellectual elite of this country. They can't even spell my name right.
And what it has to do with peer-to-peer politics, Clo, it's very clear that this is the start of a new kind of conversation. Why Clo was actually at the dentist is that she said, well, in the online world, I don't need a mouth to talk anymore. So, so she says, there is a reason I want to be equal with people that are deaf. So I'll start communicating only in text messaging, and to prove it, you can pull out all my teeth, you can knit it back out. And that was one of the elements that we talked about, but what you'll also see, and I'm pretty sure it's going to pop up in the next slide, is something incredibly revealing about you.
Many people wonder where I get the inspiration of all the speeches that I do around the world. As you know, these days I am asked a lot to speak at conferences and at workshops, and then every time I amaze the audience with the insights that I present. And in the beginning there were some people who thought they knew where I got everything, that I looked it up on Wikipedia and just googled it up minutes before I would speak. This is not true. This is my youngest love child. It does have a connection with the gynecologist reference I made before. The father is also a very famous politician whom I had a peer-to-peer relationship with for a long time, well, long enough to come up with this result. And basically, of course, the child is a prodigy. It is an extremely intelligent and beautiful child. And what it actually does is determine not only what I talk about in presentations, but also determines at this very moment what will become the online strategy for Samala, as you can see.
What you see here is only a one-dimensional picture. You see that the kid is trying to figure out what communication is about, but if you look in real life, you actually have to see what we prepared also, and that you see on the left. Actually, we see here that he's reaching out, and that on the other side of the board, somebody is touching it. So actually, in the peer-to-peer politics, what we try to do here is also to clarify relations between Belgium and France. And that's about a year ago, I called Clo and said, Clo, you should come work for Skynet. At that moment, I was still working at Skynet, and I said, can you develop a simple and easy way how we can do that? How can we cross the borders between Belgium and France? And she said, Bart, it's very simple. And that's the drawing that you came up with.
underwear. I have a clear connection between transparency and underwear in this picture, although I'm not sure whether the model in this photograph will be happy to be associated like that. Transparency ensures authenticity, followed by authority. As Bart Clo told us before, authority has become increasingly important. It is also what people with authority think about you means a lot for your online reputation. The fact that, for example, if you have become an influential Microsoft evangelist and there are still semi-erotical pictures of you circulating on the internet, I'm not sure what it might do for the launch of Silver Stream or the other Microsoft products. In any case, transparency refers to the screens in the back. Because of course, since transparency has become a tyranny to many people, and this is symbolized by the screens in the back, but Bart was there too when this picture was taken, so he obviously knows a lot more about the circumstances.
Yeah, it was actually quite a difficult moment, because it was at the moment that we depicted transparency tyranny as a trend, and something that was very difficult. You know that in this age we all have been educated as marketeers, and they told us, well, Bart, if you do a good product, 3 people will tell it. If you do a bad one, they'll tell it to 14 others. We live in a period where the tyranny is becoming so big that the moment you do something that is not perfect, they tell it to 14,000 people. So that's something also about the strength, and that's something that peer-to-peer politics have enabled. It's not only peer-to-peer politics, it's also peer-to-peer sharing of whatever we can do. And that's why also in these screens, it's not only just screens, but it is actually, it develops into a message that is something that is kind of subliminal. We cannot do it here because it's too much light, but last time that we presented this, we could close that thing down, and together with the light in the background there was kind of a flashing, and the real message that we wanted to give you today was transferred in a subliminal way, but unfortunately we cannot do it.
Of course, we cannot forget our main audience. We're always talking about us, the influencers, of course, but once in a while we have to peek across this great wall of China, so to speak, and aggregate cross-link leechers. This is actually a term that was coined originally by Becks himself. Usually I only use the acronym. I talk about ACLs and then just assume that everyone knows what I'm talking about, or secretly looks it up on Wikipedia. Bart, the floor is yours.
No, I refuse to take a word, because it was actually not me who invented this word, it was Clo. And actually, I cannot believe that while I'm coming from Amsterdam, directly here that you now tell that I invented the word. I want you to really explain to the people at what moment and at what stage you developed it, because it's something very revealing for your personality.
This is a technique that we practice a lot on our long plane trips to the far side of the world. What he was actually demonstrating is how to leech my brain. Of course, all the original ideas come from this head, but it's physically impossible to be in 2 physical places at the same time. And at first I wanted to come up with a Vulcan mind meld. But it was too painful for me, and I'm also still very young and healthy, and I want to keep it that way. So we developed a completely new technique that is entirely wireless, that is also based on his psychological how he functions, and it's just like with Bluetooth. It's enough that he is within a perimeter of maximum 2 meters of me, and he can leech my brain, then pretend it's his idea. Of course, what do we make our money with? As many people know, both of us become richer by the day. In an almost decadent way, we keep searching for ways on spending our money, but of course it's all a cloak for something completely different. What we actually do, what we make this money with, is not by being responsible for this or that strategy. An important media company in Netherlands, Europe, Belgium, What we actually do is to constantly add tools to activate the real network community. And this is not what you think a network community is. It is something entirely different.
Malfunctioning. I'm too far. Less than 2 meters, my brain stops working. And another thing, what we showed here is this is the vehicles that Laurence put at Google. You know, at the Google campus, when you go to Mountain View, there's about 6,000 people working there. People transferred in a way now. When Google became a global player, they made quite a mistake, I think, because they told all their international representatives to transfer themselves throughout the world on that vehicle. And you now see that Google has launched in Belgium, and it has taken quite a while. They say to find it took them quite a while to find a CEO, but actually they found him very quickly. But it took them quite a while to get to Belgium. That's also one of the elements that sorry?
Across the Atlantic, right? They had to swim across the Atlantic.
Yes.
Yeah, but maybe you don't see it yet, but actually this, once that you put, there is a secret button here, and this flips open and actually becomes kind of a boat. And so in that way, it's really a great innovation that they put forward, and it's again, I think, a characteristic of what Google is capable from search to boat bikes or whatever it is.
These people look like average people to you doing something pretty innocent, but in fact they are 5 of a group mostly called the Google 15. Do you know what the 15 is? Does anyone know? Show me how smart are you? What does Google 15 actually exist? What does it tell? Yeah, you get really fat when you start working for Google. And it's not only because you would think they would become fat because they sit behind a computer so much, devising all kinds of new tools, products, etc. That's not the real reason. The real reason is because they drive around in segways instead of just going by foot like most people do. So I was wrong about the gynecologist, obviously. This is a picture of Peter van Wijnaren before his operation. And what we were trying to do, his problem was, Peter van Wijnaren is the person who made this PowerPoint slide, by the way. His problem was that it took him 5 years to find out why people would not take him seriously. And then from one day he stood close enough to me to be enlightened, and then he realized it was because he had enormous breasts, which is weird for a 25-year-old boy. So this is why I took him to my gynecologist, and this picture was taken just before the operation. In fact, what we were really trying to do there, because we have the deeper level in everything we say and do, was to implement collaborative short-lived behavior engines. This is something I would like to tell a lot about, but it is a project that I do together with Bart Clo. And as you know, every time Bart Clo does a project, he will tell about the fact that he is doing the project and then just remain silent and refuse to explain anything about it. So all I can say is that Bart Clo and I are in a project, and what we are going to do is to implement collaborative short-lived behavior engines, and this will become really big in the next 5 years.
I will give no comment because nor the picture nor the words displayed as a title have anything to do with me or any of my
This was the usual legal disclaimer. When you become a public figure that is known by everyone, you not only put legal disclaimers in your email messages, you also tell them when you talk to people. Which brings us to the next slide. What you can see here. As you know, I know there are a lot of people that tell me, Clo, you are not, you are some kind of a supernatural being, and in fact it is true. I was not born out of one woman, like most of the people are. In order to produce a creature like me, it took 3 women, and it took a lot of their energy, of course, to do so. This is what they look now. Of course, what they do, there was something in their genes that was transferred to me, and that was their ability to syndicate social conversations.
I have a question for you, Clo. We talk a lot about all kinds of conversations. Do you think that the elder generation is hooking up, or do you think that they will become a little bit closer? Do you think that online or whatever kind of digital conversations will bring the 50 plus people closer to each other, or further off from the generation?
As you know, I am a futurist, of course, and I talk a lot about what the future of the internet will look like. First of all, we see some movement here, and Jeroen is talking about this. As we speak, I can feel it. He's speaking the words right now, simultaneously with me. Online communities are going online. And the local aspect is becoming more and more important. Now, we always think that young people, young adults are at the cutting edge of new technology. It's wrong. It's the social surfers, and they are the generation that will take what is online now, will take it back offline and make it local. I predict that within now and 20 years, little old ladies like this will Twitter in real life. Fast-moving citizen media.
How can we speak about it without revealing? Let's take a moment to reflect on it, because
he's always a lot more careful than I am when it comes to the legal stuff and the ethical stuff. I am the hard climber. He is careful, and he is afraid that we might find out who the man in the picture is. But just think of what we have been talking about. My love child, important politician, Chinese leader. Who is this man?
Very young.
It's all I can say. I have to put another Bartolalican again. I'm not telling you who this man is, but if you see what his age is, you see that he's half Chinese, half Flemish. Who could he be? Maybe he will become the next Messiah for this online generation, and I would become sort of... No, I would become the Queen Mother of
The Queen Mother of the Internet.
The Google girls in between were Bart's idea. And it's no coincidence that I was using biblical references because I'm not sure how many years it took 12 disciples and all the others who wrote the Bible, how many years it took them to write the Bible. Educated guess, I think 100 years or something like that. We think we can do it in 1 year, and we started 1 month ago. So all we have to do is just fill up those chapters with all our insights. Of course, we are just a vessel. Maybe just a channel. The truth of what the future of all of us will look like will, of course, come from my divine Son.
There's also another message that we try to give you here, and it's quite a serious one. I come from a generation, people between 30 and 40 years, that at a certain moment became not very ideologically driven by what they do. I think that we've arrived with a generation, the people below 30, that really believe a lot. I had a lot of discussions with people about, is there a lot of belief in the young generation, and can they handle it, and are they ready? And I think that this younger generation is more ready than ever before, thanks to online communities, thanks to a lot of things that Clo has been revealing, and that also the next slide is very indicative also, and will explain what I want to say. But what you see is that there's an entire generation ready to do something if they believe in it. And that's something that the global community has done to them. They've been traveling because they put something on the internet. They've been doing because they believe in it. They enter politics because they believe that they can change something in life. And that's a biblical element. That's a new kind of values that live in conviction of minds.
And just as a preview of what this big text, I'm not going to call it a New Age Bible because that would sound a lot more dramatic than we would want it to be. But we decided after long conversations, because you know the ethical, legal aspects and the fact that we only started 1 month ago writing this thing, is to give you just one snippet of the kind of message you will get in this publication. I will not read it to you.
Just the last word.
I just want you to ponder over it. I can see some of you already mouthing the words. That's good. You have to search for the inner peace in your soul, and without even trying to talk about it, remember the image of a toothless Clo. Think of that image. Hold on to it. Me without teeth. And then read this sentence to yourself.
And what I'd like to do, because it may seem very difficult to pronounce, but what I'd like everyone to do is to in sharing with me and participating in reading it out loud. Because this sentence is something that will really bond us all together. Communication. So if I may ask everybody to stand up and share me. Thank you.
We have to find our vibe here.
Can I ask everybody to hold hands?
I will count from 3 to 1. Just the last word, okay?
No, but that's
The whole thing.
3, 2, 1.
Bloggers who lie in virtuous edifices should not possess morbid propensities toward anti-establishmentarianism.
Thank you.
Hallelujah! Preach on!
This is how I will take over the world. With my blog. Peanuts.be. Thank you.